Hello everyone and welcome to oh, the video. Hope everyone is well, and in this video we're going to be talking about, quite frankly, arguably one of my heroes. And we're going to be talking about Mr. Gary Numan. Now, apart from my family, Gary Numan has had the biggest impact on my life. You know, I wanted. What's going on here? Right, so yeah, I wanted a keyboard because of Gary Numan. I wanted a synthesizer because of Gary Numan. I wanted to study music at college because of Gary Numan. I wanted to be a musician because of Gary Numan. You know, it's hard to put into words without getting really emotional. The impact he's had on my life. You know, absolutely. I can't really. I don't know. You just can't. I just can't really put it into words. It's just very, very strong. You know, I feel a really strong, uh, powerful connection. With the guy. Just, just incredible. And I always remember the first time I heard Gary Numan was on GTA Vice City back in whenever Vice City came out. Was it 2003 or 2002? I can't. I'm getting old. I'm getting old. I'm nearly 30. I'm getting old. I need a Zimmer frame soon. So, my memory wasn't what it was. So, I think it was round about the early 2000s anyway, and it was on Wave 103. Wave 103, where boys wear more makeup than the girls. Smashing! Let's get my makeup on. Yeah, Wave 103 with Adam First. And I always remember the introduction. Next up is one of my favourite records. It's a manic drill of a record, hitting hard with unprecedented lyrical intensity. People of Vice City, I give you Gary Numan. And then the fucking synthesizer when Jesus, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Just incredible wall of sound. That the synthesizer, incredible wall of sound it was. And then when he started singing, I went, "What in the hell is this?" I thought, Jesus, this sounds like a schizophrenic Dalek has taken too many amphetamine sulfate. It was just absolutely bizarre. Cars, the song, absolutely. I was like, I just, to my 12-year-old mind, it was like, just wow. And initially I didn't really get it. Because it was just, it's like with Kate Bush. It's like when I first heard her for the first time, I was like, fucking hell. What planet did she come from? Just, it's just incredible. Incredible. And then, of course, I got it then initially. You sometimes it's hard to get music straight away. You know, it can take a couple of listens, or it can take, you know. But I thought I need to get. I thought after listening to Cars, I thought I need to get this guy's music, and I think I nagged my dad for a keyboard that year. I think I did get a keyboard that year, and just started, started with writing little ditties on the keyboard, and then of course getting. I think the first album I got of his was I mean, you know, the obvious, maybe the obvious one, Pleasure Principle, and that completely knocked my socks off. It just absolutely incredible sound. You know, those old mini moogs. Just I don't know. There's something about the old mini moogs that are just, I don't know. They give me a very nice warm feeling inside. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but just such an incredible euphoric wall of sound. The Pleasure Principle. Those synthesizers really powerful sounding, and of course Paul Gardner's bass lines just incredible, and Cedric Sharpley's drumming is just. I mean, that guy pretty much invented breakbeat. It's got to be said, because the drums are so very very distinguished, and very, 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 very I don't know, such a very, very percussive sound, just incredible drum sound, and just absolute Pleasure Principle. It's a classic. It's a classic. It's a classic of the electronic music genre. I mean, and of course, Guy Numan didn't start out with synthesizers. He started out, a lot of punk bands. He started out in Mean Street. He got kicked out of that band because they couldn't write songs and he could write songs. Then I think he was in a band called the Lasers, which is where I think he met Paul Gardner, and then of course he formed True by Army. Excuse me. And the early stone is very punk influenced, because Numan was like, punk was the thing in, and of course, it seemed like to get a record deal back then, in that era, you had to have been a punk band. So Beggars Banquet, were hoping on a punk band, and of course Guy Numan was in a recording studio, and he stumbled upon the synthesizer, and he pressed a few notes, and he said that the sound from the synthesizer shook the room. So he was like, bloody hell, he was like, bloody hell, I need to get into these synthesizers, and of course he came up with the first True by Army album, which is sort of like, to describe it would be the style of the sound is probably pseudo electropunk, very similar to Bill Nelson's Red Noise album, very, very, very similar, and apparently Beggars Banquet weren't happy with this. They were like, they were like, what the fuck is this? But Numan persevered, and of course he made a fortune for Beggars Banquet. Made an absolute fortune for him. You know, he was the first big artist on that record label. You know, he pretty much built that label. You know, and of course, you know, he would go on to have 2 #1 singles in the same year and 2 #1 albums in the same year, 1979. Just, I don't know any other artist that's done that, to be honest. It probably has been over the years, but I don't know many. And the guy was only 21 when he started on top. When he started on Top of the Pops, he's only just 21. And I read a story. The reason he got onto Top of the Pops was because Top of the Pops producers or whatever was in charge of the show thought Chewed by Army was a more interesting title for a band than Simple Minds, which is a bit bizarre. It's a bit bizarre, but that's how they got on Top of the Pops with Our Friends Electric. And what an incredible song, you know. Very, very strange song to get to #1 because, you know, it's 5 minutes long. There isn't really a chorus, really. It's like a spoken word interlude. And it's about a female android prostitute that could indulge in your every fantasy. You know, it's just like, I mean, can you imagine Numan telling Top of the Pops that? Or telling an interviewer that? Or doing this, that? Gary, what's Our Friends Electric about? It's about a female prostitute who wants to indulge in your every fantasy. He'd be like, whoa, I think and that would have got banned. That would have got banned if he had said that. But, you know, he got to #1. You know, it's like with Walk on the Wild Side, the Lou Reed song. That over here got to the top 10, and it got on radio because nobody over here didn't know what giving head meant. They didn't know what it meant. So they didn't get censored. I think in America it got censored, but over here it was like, what's that, giving head? Blowjob! Blowjob! Right. Yeah, that's what it means. So yeah, Guy Numan was, I mean, pretty successful pretty quickly, you know. I mean, he formed Chewed by Army around about, give or take, 77, 78. A year later, on Top of the Pops. At a very, 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 very young age. You know, very young age. And probably the fame. I mean, he's often said that it came too quickly and that he couldn't readjust to fame because it was such a young age, isn't it? You know, I wouldn't want to be. To be honest, I don't think I'd want to be in that position really at that age, because to me, you're still, even though you're out your teenagers, there's still a lot of, let me say, still a lot of growing up to do. You know, in my case anyway. But yeah, Guy Numan, 79, that was his year. You know, that was the golden year for him. He outsold. I think he outsold pretty much everyone, and there was a lot of jealousy. A lot of jealousy for Numan. You know, the press said, you know, his music was putting real musicians out of work. What the fuck? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. You know, how could they say that? Because they're not being funny. I mean, they acted as if Numan was the first one to use synthesizers. I mean, he wasn't. You know, before him, it was Kraftwerk. You know, and the band Suicide. Oh God, the early Human League. David Bowie used synthesizers on, you know, to great effect on the Berlin Trilogy. You know, there was a lot of people that used synthesizers before Gary Numan. You know, and so you know, did they say that to those artists, or you know, synthesizers, or you know, a monkey could use them? You know, it's not music, it's not real, it's not rock and roll, it's not sweaty, it's not worthy. You think, what the fuck? So you got a lot of stick off the Musicians Union. You got a lot of stick in the press. I don't know why. I don't know if it's. I mean, I suppose a lot. Like I said, probably a lot of it was jealousy, and there was a lot of musicians that didn't really appreciate him at all at that particular time. Because you hear the story about David Bowie kicking Newman off the Kenny Everett show back in 1980. You know, it seemed like a lot of, and that was a great blow to Newman because David Bowie was an idol for Newman. You know, he said himself he got bullied in school because he liked David Bowie. I got bullied in school for liking Gary Numan. I got bullied. You know, why do you like this guy with this makeup on? You know, that's, you know, cool. I mean, I was called really bad, derogatory names. It was just disgusting. You know, there's no need of it really. But so yeah, so it was a bit of a blow to Newman. You know, because Bowie was his idol. But I think over the years, Bowie, you know, reassessed what he thought, because he probably saw Newman as a threat. He probably did see him as a contender to his throne, and he sort of felt threatened. But I don't know. I don't know for sure, you know. But I mean, I love Bowie and Newman, so you know, because I did read that Bowie said in an interview back in the early 2000s that Newman wrote two of the finest things in British pop. You know, I'm assuming he's mentioning Cars and Our Friends Electric, but I don't know. He didn't. For some reason, he didn't elaborate. But so that's pretty cool. I think Eno had a problem with Newman as well. Brian Eno, I think, had a problem with Newman as well, and Mick Jagger had a problem. It's just a lot of people had problems. A lot of seemed to be a lot of jealousy and animosity, and yet Robert Palmer seemed to be ahead of his time in many ways. He was a big advocate for Newman because he covered I Dream It Was on one of his albums. You know, before, you know, way ahead of his time, because by the 90s, you know, people were covering Guy Newman songs. You know, so you know. So yeah, Guy Newman. You know, there was a lot of jealousy with Newman, and you know, and I think he did. The pressure got to him a lot. You know, it did get to him a lot because he obviously quit touring in 1981. For a while, he just couldn't handle. I don't think he could handle the fame, you know, and the pressures because you know, you got to understand he was getting a lot of death threats. You know, people were treating him different. Like, you go into a pub and people are like, you know, taking a great dislike to him and you know, and being abusive. And his family got death threats as well, which is absolutely unnecessary, uncalled for, and malicious and spiteful. So it was a lot of stuff he was going through, and you know, and he quit touring for a while. But I must be the only one, for some reason, that really loves the Dance album. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Replicas. Replicas, great album, fantastic. Got my favourite song on it, Down in the Park. You know, credible. Pleasure Principle is great. I think Telecom edges, for me, it edges Pleasure Principle and Replicas. And of course, True by Army, the first album, is great as well. But I love Dance is my favorite album because he started to move away from that Android image, because a lot of his writing was science fiction based. He was a big fan of science. He's a big fan of science fiction. He's a big fan of Philip K. Dick. Do androids dream of electric sheep? It comes from our friends Electric. He used to write short science fiction stories all the time. So he's a big fan of science fiction, and like we're down in the park. Very dark. Newman, he deals with very dark subject matter. He really does. Compared to other electronic bands of the time, he was very, very dark subject matter. Like Down in the Park is about machines raping people. It's like the park is like an entertainment, sort of like an entertainment place, and people would watch machines raping people. It's just very bizarre. And of course, he deal with like sort of like bisexual. A lot of his writing, bisexual experimental experiences as well. Just it's like there's a great quote from what's his name? Is it Dave Clark, the techno DJ? Said Gary Numan, to him, was more influential than Kraftwerk and was the dark side of electronica. I can't argue with that. Just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, Dance is my favorite. Dance is my favorite album. I can't understand why people shit on that album. It's like Vive la Rock only gave it 5 out of 10 for the reissue of Dance. I don't get it. I don't know why people hate it. It seems like there'd be a strong dislike for that album. Because you've got to give Newman props for moving away from that Android image. That pseudo gothic Android image. I love it. It's got Mick Kahn on there, the great bass guitarist from Japan, one of the underrated bass guitarist. So Mick Kahn, he has a very exotic, atmospheric bass style, which I love. And if you've never listened to any Japan, I recommend Japan, because they're a great little synth new romantic band, really great. So yeah, Mick Kahn's on there, and it's more lyrically, it seems to be more a personal experience. Telecon does. But then again, Telecon is quite personal. It's like the song "Remind Me to Smile," "Reconsider Fame," "I Need New Reasons." He's sort of like questioning or denouncing fame. But on this particular album, it seems to be a more. It's a very. Dance is a very sort of somber, reflective album. He's sort of like reflecting on the last 2 years, 79 and 80, and sort of trying to, I wouldn't say come to terms with it. It's sort of like getting it off his chest. It's like the song "Cry the Clock Said," which is a absolutely beautiful ambient pop ballad. Incredibly incredibly atmospheric. That's what people miss about this album. This album is very atmospheric. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the other albums, Telecom, Pleasure Prince, are very atmospheric. This one is very atmospheric. It's very, it's very jazzy as well. It's very jazzy as well. Cry the Clock said, it's probably in my top 10 Gary Numan songs of all time. Just a very, it seems it could be about a relation. To me, it could be about a relationship, but I think it's about, to me, it's about sort of leaving the glitz and the fame behind and just moving on gracefully, So yeah, great song. And Crash, which is sort of like JG ballad influence, a great song. Slow Car in China is great. She's about a prostitute. That's really great as well. Subway Called You, brilliant. I think it's just a brilliant album. I don't know why people dislike it, to be honest. And I think Numan doesn't seem to do any of those songs live. I really don't know why, because I love that album. I need to get that. On vinyl. I've got it on CD. I've got loads of Numan CDs, which I could show all of them off, but the video would be 2 hours long, wouldn't it? So I'm only gonna show a few stuff which I got of his, so just to try and keep it as short as possible. But yeah, I don't know why people shit on Dance. I think he's great, and I love I Assassin and Warriors as well. I love them as well. The Iceman Comes. What a great track with Dick Morrissey's saxophone. Really, really great stuff. So yeah, Numan by 81 was sort of like, concentrating on his flying because, he's a pilot, and he went round the world in 81, 82. He went round the world, and he took a great story that he got arrested in India because he got accused of spying. They took his camera and they impounded the plane as well. Just bizarre. Because he said in an interview, he said they don't see many cameras in India, so they just thought he was a spy. And I think there's another story as well. He crashed the plane outside somebody's garden. He had problems with the plane, so he had to land, and he ended up in somebody's garden. Just incredible, because music and so for Numan, his big obsessions are music and flying planes, because Numan's got Asperger syndrome, which is like I got traits of that with bipolar, and obviously I got OCD as well, but I've got traits like that where I'm very obsessive about things. I'm very obsessed with music. I like all forms of music. So I collect and play as much as I can, whether it's punk, hip hop, reggae, African music, jazz, whatever. I'm just a big music geek. So yeah, Numan, has got Asperger's syndrome, and it does reflect in a lot of his. Songwriting. Oh jeez, I'm picking my nose. What the fuck? Bloody hell! Jesus, it's all about perfection. I'm picking my nose in the video. Jeez, an itchy nose. What's going on? Right, what was I talking about? So yeah, Numan Asperger's syndrome. So So yeah, it reflects in a lot of his songwriting, particularly songs like Films, where the scenery is like a place, and he wants to sort of pull it down. So he's sort of like he's sort of like fearful of people, you know. Rather be on his own. It's like Me. That song is about being the last machine on Earth, and there's nobody around, and just just very, and that's what I like about, Numan compared to Kraftwerk. I mean, I love Kraftwerk, but with Numan, you can sort of relate to it more. It's like Kraftwerk are deliberately they're deliberately robotic. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, sort of like being undetached and cold and like that. But with Numan, well, for me personally, it's very. I can relate. I can relate to alienation from people, and anxiety of people, and the fear of people, and being my own, being like your own little bubble, like in your own little world. I can completely relate to it. So yeah, Numan he sort of concentrated on his on his pilot, on being a pilot and getting his license for that and traveling the world. Fair play to him, great. And then he came back, to tour in '83, the Warriors tour. And I bet he got stick for that. I bet he got a lot of stick for that, for returning. But he probably saw that I don't know what I've read his book, but I can't remember what he said to change his mind. But he started the tour again, and obviously, I mean, he's a touring machine now, isn't he? Tours pretty much tours every year now. So yeah, he started touring, and then of course he formed his own record label, and that's where I sort of started to go a bit pear-shaped for him. He started to make albums which they just weren't Gary Numan. It's like Machine and Soul is a piece of shit. It's just fucking awful. To win all those Prince covers. It's just I don't understand. What I think Numan, his mindset was at that particular time. I think he still wanted to grab the hits and grab them by the balls. He still wanted hits, but the hits just started to dry up. And of course, radio, I think it was Radio 1 or Radio 2, were a bunch of bastards. They wouldn't play Guy Numan songs. And you get Steve Wright apologising, going, "I'm sorry for playing this song, but this is Gary Numan." And he was like treating him all horrible, treating him like a clown. He was unbelievable. Oh, we're not. Oh, I apologise for playing this record. Well, I'm not being funny. That's what is that about? It's not very professional. But then again, if I was a DJ, I'd probably apologise for playing Nicki Minaj. Oh, this is a song by Nicki Minaj. I apologise for playing this song. Oh, this is a song by Taylor Swift. I apologise for playing this song. This is a song by Justin Bieber. I apologise for playing that song. This is a song by The Killers. I apologise for playing this song. This is a song by Nickelback. I apologise for playing this song. Just, it's just unprofessional. And Numan wrote a song about about the radio. My Breathing, which is probably one of his best songs from the mid-80s. And I do love Sharp and Newman's Change Your Mind. I think that's a great little dance track. But it just seemed Newman seemed to be pressurizing himself into trying to get hits. And I imagine the record label. I think the record he was on what record label was he on in America? Was it Illegal Records? They were like telling him what to put out, and Newman had been making great songs for years. Why would he want advice from some record executive, some fat fucker radio executive dancing in the room going, "Oh, I love this song, I love this song, Gary. Can you put this song out?" And it doesn't do well. And he's like, "Well, I didn't tell. I said you mustn't. You shouldn't have had that hit. You shouldn't have had that song released." And it's just what the fuck? Unbelievable. So in the the mid 80s is pretty, and early 90s. I try and forget. I try not to think about that period of Newman. It's just very frustrating, you know. But I do love the Berserker album. Now, who is it to? Berserker. That's a single, Berserker. I love that album. You know, I think that is a golden cleric in his mid 80s period, because it's just, I love the industrial dance pop style with the hard rock linens behind it. I think it's great. Berserker, great energetic track, which he played that live, because I saw, when did he play that live? I think it was when I see him in 2012. He played that live, and it's fantastic live. You know, Child with a Ghost, which is a very sad, heartfelt ballad, that one, because it's about Paul Gardner, who died of heroin overdose. Very sad, but it's a great little song. The Secret, that's a great little song. And when I first heard that, I thought David Bowie was singing the chorus. I was convinced David Bowie was singing the chorus. I thought, is that David Bowie singing the chorus? But it's a guy who calls it Zeus Be Held. I think that's his name. Or am I talking out my ass again? So his name's Zeus something. So he's singing on the chorus. I mean, Berserk, a great little and very underrated album. That is really good. And I've got that on CD as well. But his mid 80s stuff and early 90s stuff, I'm not brave enough to listen to it. But be fair, he came back with a vengeance in '94 with Sacrifice. Oh, great album. And then of course his music came a lot, I wouldn't say darker. I mean, darker to compare to his early '90s stuff and mid '80s stuff, but it was. I mean, Gary Numan's always been dark, so it wasn't exactly like a great leap. But I mean, musically, it was definitely a lot better and less of that funky, sort of that really funky dance pop, which was really common in the mid '80s. So very funky, I mean, the mid '80s to me, I listen to it sometimes and I think it hasn't aged well at all. So it's not just a Gary Numan thing. It's all across the board. You know, that mid '80s, got to have the 808 cowbell in every song. Duck, duck, duck. Want to dance with somebody? Duck. You know, we don't have to take our clothes off. Oh, duck, duck. You know, the 808 cowbell just. Ugh. So yeah, Sacrifice, great, absolutely great album. Got one of my Favourite Numan songs, I know You Walk in My Soul and CWI are just brilliant. Brilliant stuff. And of course, in the 90s, Numan was starting to get the recognition from other artists. I mean, Guy Numan has been a big influence on pretty much every electronic artist that's come after him. And he was a big influence on hip hop. Massive influence on hip hop. Incredible influence on hip hop. Because I read in an interview that Malcolm McLaren, when he was making, I think he was making his Duck Rock album, which was a lot of hip hop on there. He was in the Bronx, and the b-boyers were dancing to Gary Numan. They were break dancing to Gary Numan. Now, that's not something I can sort of get in my head or fathom. I mean, I don't know. I just find it hard to imagine. But then again, you listen to a lot of the stuff on Pleasure Principle. So you listen to song Films. That drum style, by Cedric Style, it has a very, like I said before, it has a very breakbeat hip hop percussive style. Because hip hop is very percussive. It's very reliant on the beat. Very reliant on the beat. So yeah, I then. So I can sort of imagine it. I mean, he's been sampled countless times. It's like Kool G Rap did a version of Cars in a hip hop style. The Fearless 4 done a song called Just Rock, and the melody's Cars by Guy Numan. He's been sampled by the Beastie Boys. He was interviewed by the Beastie Boys in a magazine. So Guy Numan, big influence on hip hop, big influence on industrial rock and gothic rock, and he was finally getting the recognition he deserved. And there's an album of different artists doing cover versions of his songs. Just absolutely incredible. And last year, just pretty much really kicked ass last year with this album, Savage. It's a brilliant album. Absolutely brilliant. Pretty much proved all the naysayers wrong. Big middle finger to the naysayers. It's like with me. I've had the last laugh as well, because I was bullied in school for liking Guy Numan, and quite frankly, a lot of the stuff. Let's be honest, a lot of the shit they put out now, it's just crap. So I like to say, I like to give them a middle finger as well, because I was fucking right and you were fucking wrong. I think Savage got to number. Does he get everything short? I got to number 2 in the charts, and I seen him in Bristol, Coast and all, and the sound was electrifying. Brilliant. Numan fans are they're just so passionate and loyal. They're the greatest crowds. I mean, metal crowds are great as well. Heavy metal crowds and punk crowds are fantastic, but with Numan crowds are they're very vocal. They're very loyal. They're very passionate, and they, I can imagine. I mean, if I was on stage and I got that type of positive energy, it would make me to give a really powerful performance. And Numan, absolutely great live. Well, absolutely great. I mean, I've seen him 3 times. I've seen him in Cardiff on 30 Years of the Pleasure Principle tour, which was great, absolutely fantastic. I think I've seen him in 2012 Machine Music Tour, I think it was called, and I seen him last year. You know, and that was the first time and last year was the first time my dad seen him, because I said to him, I said, you know, you've got to see Numan. You know, you got to see Numan. I said, you won't. I said, you won't regret. I had to fucking convince him. In a way, I said, you know, it's Gary Numan. You know, even if you only see him once, it's an absolute experience you'll never forget. You know, absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible. You know, it's great that he's getting the recognition he deserves. You know, just I can't understand. Like I said, I can't understand why he got all that shit thrown at him for years. I don't. But you know, he's got the last laugh and just great. You know. So yeah, bloody hell, 45 minutes. So yeah, Gary Numan, to sum him up, well, I mean, a unique innovator. That's how I can sum it up. You know, unique innovator. So yeah, that was me talking about Gary Numan. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.